Hello and welcome to this video. Today we are going to take a flight here from Aalborg Airport and to Roskilde Airport. And I'm going to do it in a different way than I have done in the previous videos, as this is to try make it more visually to see how easy it is to operate aircraft like this, and give you some reference tools to make your flying easier. The first thing you would need to know is actually the nav data database that you have access to in order to be able to enter a flight plan at the website here on my flight planner. It's a nice website for creating flight plans for X-plane, where you just have to check this mark for FMS, and then it will give you this file that you would be using for X-plane 11. Then you go down and set in your departure and your destination. We're flying from Aalborg and to Roskilde Airport. Then you go inside X-plane into custom data, and then you can open one of the files, because then you actually get the information which cycle you got if you are not sure about which version that you actually have, because sadly the aircraft is not capable of showing which database it has, from what I have seen so far, when in reality it would tell you, it only tells you that the database is out of date. So that's where you actually can find it. Then I set it up here, the database, and our altitude range between 5,000 feet and 11. We could set it up for around 20, and for low altitude. Then we could go in. I'm not sure that the fokker 50 is here. Oh, it actually is. And then you can get the calculation as well. Use SIDS and stars. Do note that if you set some of the equipment here, it's not sure it can find a flight plan, but then you can try to remove SIDS or stars, one of them. It depends on which airport you're flying to and from, if it has some procedures. It sometimes tends to cause problems for the system to find a flight plan. And now we got a flight plan here that would take us direct to Edson, down here, and then in Pune, and then down to Carenado VOR station, and then from there into Roskilde Airport. Okay, so that's the main flight plan. Then you can go down here, go to the files, and then you can press it and save the file. Then you can open it up, and then you can move it over to X-plane 11 into the output and FMS plan. Then you can place it there, and then we would be able to access the flight plan from inside the aircraft. So now let's go inside the cockpit and get the aircraft going here. Need to get some electricity here for the main aircraft, and that's down here. Then we would switch over to the battery, switch off there, and then it comes alive. Do note that if the battery is set, the FMS for some reason do not has any informations, just like it would be this one. Instead, let's see if can see they are linked, so none of them would actually work if it is. And I apologize here that I actually has the problems for the mouse. That's my known problem here. Because the aircraft actually does tell you the active dates, but not the main database. Then you have to go back and look in the calendar of the EKRK to see which database this might be. Sometimes it's more easy to see than others, and that's why I actually set it for the main data in there. Okay, and we are here at Aalborg Airport. As you can see, is that we can switch over to the flight plan page, and then we can enter the identification just out in one. There we go. And then you can see the flight plan is loaded just as we had planned. Then we can go into departure. And then we can go in here. Don't get any informations as such. We can go in and say windy TV weather, windy.com, and then we can go over to where we are flying. It's Aalborg, and Roskilde is actually here. We can go up here and get the information from Aalborg. It is VFR conditions, wind from the METAR. There we go. Wind variable 1 knot, visibility 10 kilometers or more. And then go and get the around 230 degrees. You can see if I open my panel here, we actually has reference. You can see we actually has a wind of 2 knots from 289 degrees. Then we would go in and say it might be runway 26, and runway 26 is actually up. I really apologize for my mouse interference there. It is up in this eastern end and departing to the west. So that's what we are planning. So it would be 26 right, and we don't have any procedure or such out of here. So that's none, as you can see, just says that it is in the wave. Then we can go to Roskilde, plan our approach over at Roskilde. We can try go down and find Roskilde here. Copenhagen is actually out here. Roskilde is here. Okay. Wind 220 knots. 8 knots varying between 190 and 250 degrees. So that might be ILS 21 from Trano. No stars or such does intercept. Then we can look at the main flight runway as an input Tran of Trano. Then you can see that we can set it up here. This discontinuity, I normally remove that line, as that makes the calculation for the aircraft better. Okay, we can't do it. We have to do it. Yeah, okay. There we go. The FMS system is a bit odd. Let's just say it that way. But you can work your way around it. You just need some practice and know how to get around some of the main issues you can get into. Because one of the things that could happen now that we actually activated the approach is that it could cause problems if we want to select another approach. But in reality, it's no problem because pilots are setting those information in, so normally it shouldn't be a problem. So 14,000 feet, because then we actually get a reference here for the aircraft. Okay. And now I actually got that issue again with the mouse. And it's nothing to do with the add-on, it is just my mouse that is so annoying. I guess it's because of the sensitivity of the dots per inch and such, that it is due to a mouse that is too cheap. There we go, closing the door and getting the aircraft ready for the start. Get some panel lighting going here, and then soon we would be on our way here out of Aalborg towards Copenhagen here. There we go. Or Roskilde, I should say. I apologize. And I am using the panel here, however, do note that at some point I would start using my own autopilot project again. I just want to show the aircraft right out of the box how it is, so developers hopefully do not lock down the options that I have right now to use the aircraft, because I'm pretty happy how it actually is working right now with my autopilot project. Okay, and then we can. It's so annoying, that mouse doing, and from time to time it's more worse than others. But when I open those panels here and such, it really seems to be triggering that mouse issue. There we go. Set for the takeoff. we could actually go in and set it for a flex temperature for the little rig. There we go. Yeah. And for this airport, normal procedure would just be making a right-hand turn, just like you can see here that aircraft for some propeller aircraft would be making a right-hand turn, basically because pushing back an turboprop within the engines isn't good. It has to be shut down completely and such in order to actually not damage the aircraft's engine. Okay, so let's start the right-hand engine, and we are doing it this way. There we go. And we can hear that the engine, and we can see as well things are happening here on the right-hand side. And then we can just switch it to the left-hand engine and see that start, and switch off the ground power unit, as now we are onto the aircraft's own electricity, and we should of course be using the anti-collision lights and no lights. Seatbelts inside. There we go. Few things that I forgot, but other than that, it should be fine. There we go. Yips. And taxi lights, inspection lights on for later use if we need it. Okay. And then we can close this, and we would start our taxiing here. And then I would need to activate my tiller project here and start. Okay, there we go. Now we've got the nose wheel steering going. There we go. I was thinking about creating some kind of mechanism where you actually could see if the rudder was active or it was the tiller that was active. However, I don't want to make more numbers or letters on the main screen. So, and by the way, you can quickly identify whenever it is the rudder, because now I press the button and now you see nothing is happening because it is rudder, and so it is possible for you to quickly see what's active right out of the box. Okay, but here we go. The coloration seems a bit odd here if you look. Yeah, it is kind of orange by the lighting, however, still seems a bit odd. Let's see. Doesn't make any huge difference there. Okay. Now we just taxi out to the main runway. And I know we already spent around 20 minutes here on the route. So I give it a bit of extra throttle here to get us to the main runway, but see how sensitive the main steering of the nose wheel is. Do note that I only use one cheap joystick, the Logitech 3D Pro, and the Extreme 3D Pro, I should say. So it's no wonder, but it's doing its job. I am kind of missing my old setup, but that's how it is. And here we go. And we're just gonna turn to the left here, as we don't need the whole runway length, as we got plenty of runway here from Bravo as well. So trying to slow it a bit down here and get ourselves ready for the departure. Now I'm gonna make the aircraft ready to be set for our first waypoint right after departure here. And it's very important that you do not activate it before you actually are close to where you want, because else the aircraft will try to fly back to the airport here, and then instead of just flying towards the waypoint from the current position. So that's one important thing. Now I'm locking the nose wheel, so now it's the rudder only that is being used. So we also don't have that squeezing sound. That's pretty nice. Here we go. 100 knots. It's well enough. Gear can come up, and we are steadily climbing here. Very nice. Tracting the flaps. Let us accelerate a bit here. Out of Aalborg Airport. Start a left-hand turn here. More over to the main track of where we is supposed to be going. Now I can pop up our panel here and then intercept it and go to the auto panel, engage the autopilot, switch to the nav mode. Just make sure it's for the FMS, altitude select, and IRS is set. So now we try to keep our current airspeed, more or less, set it for climb power, and you can hear the engine. And there you can see the main thing I was mentioning before, that the aircraft would do. Now it did it as well. Some of it is mainly because how the autopilot activates. because believe it or not, but the autopilot in reality can be a bit odd. I know that from flying helicopter at a flying school, and the autopilot actually was a bit crazy when it actually it was just that it should be keeping a given heading. It wasn't following the GPS track or anything. It was just following heading, and it worked a bit odd. Let's just say that way. But when it is first active, it tends to get better and as such. So that's how it is. Okay, now we're getting into the clouds, and in reality we got the landing lights. I didn't switch those on for the departures. It wasn't really necessary as such, and they are still not, but we would switch them on so we don't forget them for the landing as such. Compass lighting, not that really required. That's odd. You only hear those sound when it's switched on. When it's switched off, there's nothing. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Side panel lighting. What is that? That's a brake handle. That's kind of cool. I really liked when we saw some of that for the first time. I actually saw it for the first time in the Flight Sim 737 project. Or was it in the 727 as well? I can't remember it right now. But I really loved that. It was so cool. Okay, now we are getting above the clouds. The frame isn't the best. It's over 30, but still. And that's basically due to the clouds and such. But it is really a nice aircraft, the Fokker 50 here. It certainly is. It's a bit funny. A lot of the knobs and such can be used even though it doesn't look like they have any function. As well as could have been nice if you could have opened the window or such, but it doesn't look like you actually can, but I'm not sure, or it's just that you don't see it such. Because a lot of the objects can be moved and such. And then we get to an area like this where you can't adjust the lighting and those knobs. Not that it makes a huge difference in my opinion, but it's a bit funny when you look at all the other things that can be adjusted to what you like. $1,000 to go up to our main cruise altitude of 14,000 feet. Probably could climb higher, but let's just keep it this way. Not that I actually know how the wind is. Let's see here. We could of course also have taken this map and entered seen at which altitude. 14,000 feet. This is actually the wind at 14,000 feet. So we can actually see that the wind is coming from the west and going to the east over land, and then we'll fly down here, some kind of get a more and more drifting wind to a light headwind, coming down to around Carenado and then flying over to Roskilde. With our radar. Sky tops. Here we can see some of the rain cells. Rain and thunder cells. It seems okay over by Roskilde at the moment. But we also have the weather in here. The cloud and such satellite. And as you can see, we were flying directly from Aalborg down to Adsen. It should have been to Aalborg and then down to Adsen if it should have been 100% accurate for the flight plan. But often the traffic controller would give us directs anyway, as well as now that the wind is at the direction that it is. It doesn't make a huge difference to our main flight path here or time. That's just the overspeed warning. And now we actually set it for the cruise power. Cruise power is set. The frames in the 40s now, so it's a bit better now, but we also get less clouds right now. But it is basically due to my graphics card at the moment. That could need a replacement, however. I don't got the money for it. So that's the reason behind. It's a nice minus 11 degrees outside at the moment. So it is a bit cold outside, even though it could be worse. But it takes a bit of time now. We are flying a propeller aircraft. I have to admit that. And as I've said quite a few times, I am more into jets, basically because of the higher speed, so I actually get faster from A to B and get quicker up and down. So it's easier to make some nice flights, even though it's also nice to fly those aircraft here from time to time. And in basic, you can say that airlines in reality are skipping the jets again for given routes, and that's probably due to the main costs of operating the aircraft for such flight, because it is more expensive to fly that faster. Because there are really a huge difference in the fuel cost for flying jet and the props and turboprops. They use less fuel, but of course they also fly slower. But in reality, it's no more different than cars. In your car, that at a given speed with that particular engine, it is more economic than for others. In the old days, it was said more that if you was driving your car around 18-19 kilometers per hour, it was the most optimum speed for best distance consumption for the main fuel costs. As you was moving you would get most kilometers out of 1 liter of petrol. And in some cars that could probably be around 110, 120 kilometers per hour. But then it's not the normal petrol we are using. But that's how it is. And that's also what we are going to see with the electric cars and hybrid cars, that they have the best benefits while driving in the city, and up to maximum around 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. When you get beyond that, it gets less economic, and it's no more different than the aircraft here. Because of course I fly fast, I know that, and that's not the economic way on aircraft as well. But the airliners are moving more into the HR aircraft again. You can say they are being more and more popular for specific routes where it is getting too expensive to fly with the jets, even though the jet is doing it faster. But of course, then you could say, well, if you just fly slow in the jet, you would also be flying more economically. But again, the difference between propeller aircraft and jet is there is a distance. There are. I really remember that when I was flying in the FSX for some years ago, and had a nice electronic flight bag, and it was actually checking your fuel consumption, and that was really where you could see that flying a 737 for a given route, flying the Jetstream 41 by PMPG, you could really see how economic that aircraft was compared to the jet. You could really see it on the fuel burn. You burned a lot more fuel for the jet than the propeller aircraft. So it makes quite a lot of sense that airliners are going over to those slow aircraft, and they are more economic to operate. Even it of course takes a bit longer to fly than the main flight. But then we are back to, well, there might be a reason that we have not seen a new supersonic aircraft like the Concorde again. There was a lot of talk about it, however, so far we haven't seen it. That there would be an aircraft that would enter that market again. Even though we have seen sketches of Boeing and other that have made some progress for something that they would expect would be the next supersonic aircraft, but so far we haven't really seen it. So, and I don't really think we would ever see it again, because then we really have to find some new technology, so it could be less expensive. And has a better fuel consumption and is more economic. Soon we are coming to the Tarnovo station, and then we're getting close to our descent. In fact, we could actually calculate our descent as such. If I take a calculator, here we go. The golden rule back in the days was actually set for 737. I got a small book, and it said that if we are at 14,000 feet and we want to go down to 2,000 feet, then we need to take the difference, and the difference is 12. We would multiply that by 3, that is 36, and then we would get up to the whole number. So around 40 nautical miles from our destination we would start our main descent. So I actually guess that would be pretty much close to now, and you can see that for the Tranøya station as well. It actually says that we should have been descending. However, it all depends on which angle you want to descend at, and main airspeed. So now I can idle my thrust here, more or less, and then we would start our descent here. One thing that I would mention here that you should remember, always remember, and it is to arm the altitude select, else the aircraft would continue its descent beyond whatever you have entered into the autopilot. From my perspective, I can't see really why it is built that way, because you would know in Boeing and Airbus and whatever it is, you can never go below that altitude that you actually either have set into the autopilot, or from the data that the FMS is setting, that you would know that even you set it to a lower value, you might not get to it. If you are using the VNAV, then you would know that it would actually go in and take those restrictions if you was using VNAV. But again, this aircraft is more old style and do not have those options. But I just want to mention it. Because I really like to learn people something. And that's basically because I've been flying a lot of different aircrafts and know quite a lot of autopilots and how they work and such, but also what limitations we have in the simulator. And to me it should be straightforward with this particular aircraft for the operation. The case is that in reality I have been not in a full motion flight simulator, but I have been in the ATR 72/500 simulator and landed not here at Roskilde. The main simulator is at Roskilde, but was landing in Copenhagen. And it is a bit of a different experience from what you are used to here. However, it felt quite comfortable because at that given specific time I actually was used to flying with yoke, so it felt familiar and such. But how the weather affected the aircraft, that was a whole different story. and it felt much more realistic how the wind was calculated, how you actually felt every push of the wind, because it is made quite okay here in X-Plane. However, there are just a few things where it is a bit more randomized in those simulators, and that makes it a bit more challenging, because you really has to do your stuff right, keep the wing level, and of course keeping the when you land, and as well keep the wind. You really have to learn to keep the wing into the wind and such. It seems to have a whole other dimension to the experience when you are in such a simulator. But also because the motion of the aircraft is a whole lot different from any simulator I ever had tried. So the best benefit would be to have such a simulator. Then it would be nice to fly. However, you would also know that if you had that, you would not have so nice airport that we have in this simulator. You would not have the cockpit like you got here, because of course there we got all the real gauges, so we don't really need it. We just need the main screen for looking outside. Like we was looking out of the window instead of all this, and of course that would also give us a performance boost compared to what we actually got here. So yes, when you first try the real simulator, you really you feel it difficult to find something that is similar also when you actually start flying, because at that particular time I also had flying lessons, not in the EKR but in another aircraft, and it just feels so different
2500
when it comes to the handling and such. That's some of those things that I am actually missing here in the simulator from time to time, that it just felt more like the real deal. Because yes, I have said that aircraft could feel like paper aircraft and such. Yes, it can be that in reality the forces and such are right, but in reality I would not be able to move the yoke in as I am in an environment like here. So here I actually need more kind of an emulator of the forces to prevent me from overreacting to the inputs. Because it can be that if you was using an force feedback joystick or yoke or whatever it might be, it would felt more realistic. But since I don't have that, and nothing is limiting, is making a limitation for my input, I kind of can overreact, as you can say, and then I can pull the aircraft upwards like you wouldn't be able to do in the real aircraft, other than if you had more force than actually the weight of the aircraft. So that could probably be something to work on, and project for simulating forces or such. I don't know. I'm not sure that I would be able to develop it, but that's how it is. It is a bit odd that the autopilot actually makes those adjustments here, because they are really getting out of our main course here. That's a bit odd, I would say, because it's just switching from one waypoint to another, so it doesn't make that sense that the aircraft actually is moving such a big turn when passing one waypoint and another for the main approach, as you can see right now, because when we was in flight we didn't seem to have that problem, other than more or less in the beginning. Now it seems a bit odd behavior of the aircraft that I would have to check out at a later time. Let's get the gear out and get ready here for our main landing into Roskilde Airport. And I can see Roskilde straight ahead. Tells me that we are a bit low right now. It could be a bit better visibility here, but it is not. And we're just going to do a visual landing here. You're not gonna do an ILS landing or such, even that was actually what we have set it up for. Also mainly because I mean that the aircraft is not setting the radio frequencies by default for the main runways like an Airbus would do, or such. Index, no, next page, there we go. Could try to switch it over to the nav 1, however I don't believe that the aircraft would actually be following the correct track here. No, it would not. And now I got into the mouse issue again. I am really sorry. And now I can't get out of it. There we go. That was very annoying. Okay. Let's disengage the autopilot here. God damn it. Yeah, but we are too high right now. We are too high. Things did not go as planned. We would try to see if we can get the aircraft down, but I really doubt that we can get it down. In a scenario like this, always go around. However, I am short on time right now. That's no excuse in reality, of course. And nope, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I need to make it go around, so that's what I'm going to do. There we go. It just simply would not be safe for us to land right now. So I'm giving it more thrust here, past the middle marker here. Just gonna make a left-hand turn here. right around here. Okay. I had hoped that we could make it, but it just doesn't seem possible right now. But let's not climb. Let's maintain here the descent and get the aircraft configured for the main landing. There we go. And we're gonna turn back. And it was me that was saying it wrong. We wasn't too high, we was too low. We was too high, that was what I should say. I apologize. I just messed up what I said. And I apologize for that. That's one of the negative sides about me and recordings, because my focus from the flying is getting away from me, and that's not great. Yeah, it's a bit odd because we are actually around right now, but the runway. The visibility should be 10 kilometers, however, this is more and more odd. Yeah, I'm not that good at those instructing as well as flying. I have to say that might be the best way of saying it, because I'm using a lot of time on focusing on what I actually am saying
200
instead of just saying it and just continue
100
focusing on the flying.
50 40 30 20 10.
Oops. There we go. And there you have it. We have arrived here at Roskilde Airport. I hope you enjoyed the flight with me along the way, and that I would see you again soon in one of my videos that I try to make to improve my abilities to record, because my flights goes best when I do not record. However, I really would like to learn the communities and things along the way as well, and demonstrate some of the projects that I have, even though that's not what I actually have done in this particular video, but I'm trying my best to do better videos also, so you can have an impression of particular aircraft and such, and I guess I'm focusing too much on my videos not making errors, that I actually make more errors than if I just took it as it is and then say, well, it is just as it is. But yeah, I am perfectionist, I know, and that's some of the main issue and limitation there. But we have arrived here at Roskilde Airport now, we would taxiing in here to the left, and then we would find a spot where we just park the aircraft and it would be the flight. The aircraft is really easy to operate and handle, as you may already have seen. There's not a huge issue there for the operation of the aircraft. It works pretty nice out of the box. Now let's just park here near the main terminal, even though it's just a stalled one, but this would probably be here that we would actually park our aircraft in reality. And here we are, parked at Roskilde Airport, and I really apologize for the main issues from this particular video and the main problem that I have with the mouse here. They are really not great, because it makes the video so odd. But it is the best I have at the moment, and probably would continue to have. But that is how it is. Let's switch off the second engine, and then we can open the main front door and call it the flight of today. And of course we should switch off the lights, and now you already see that I'm going back to minor details about correct operation, and that's why we have the checklist, of course. But thank you for watching. Hope you learned something from it. Else, I'm sorry. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.